gonna have to deal with Floppy.
Oh, Floppy?
Yes. He did
What?
not know who was.
He didn't know who what was?
Salem, the cat.
Oh, from Sabrina.
Yeah, he has never seen it
Or,
because
well,
Einstein
Sabrina,
died.
well, at Floppy, whenever you listen to this, this will be a test to see if he actually listens to our podcast. Floppy, whenever you listen to this, you are fired as an admin. We'll get a message in a few years, maybe, possibly. But okay, how are y'all? Someone's Discord's coming through. I'm assuming it's Atlas's because I Shanty's muted.
Yep, we're just gonna mute the
Oh,
server for an hour or so.
and the dogs have decided to play elevator music.
Oh, sorry, hello?
Hello,
Oh.
Shanty.
Well,
Hello.
I don't want to like actually start until they're done. They've been I literally just got home like 30 minutes ago and I devoured some Popeye's chicken.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, like it was my last meal. Are you two done yet? I'm trying to do something. I don't think they're done. No.
We may have to take back Floppy's firing.
Oh, why?
He might be naming the kitten Salem, and I said I would forgive him.
We'll see.
Stand by.
That is acceptable to me if he names it Salem.
Okay, Flop. I'm curious if he will listen to this and if he'll get a chuckle out of it. So, Floppy and Cheston have both told me, I guess if I leave this in, Floppy is an admin and one of our friends on a server that we run, and Cheston is my fiance. But they have both told me that they don't like listening to the podcast that much because they keep trying to like talk to us while we're talking. But it's a recording,
That's
so
hilarious.
they'll like try to give input, but they can't. And then they're like, "What the hell, guys? Keep interrupting me." So I can't say that I blame them. I guess if it was reversed and it was Floppy and y'all, I'd probably feel the same. But I need to tell y'all, since starting this podcast, one of the hardest things is in order to provide like a little bit of banter and for our personalities and stuff to come through a bit. Like, I don't mind having a little chit chat before we actually start the story. So, the hardest part of all this is not talking to y'all about some of the little things that happen, like when they happen. Like, for example, today, after 2 months of my car being worked on for hail repair, which everyone else has told me should have only taken like 2 weeks, maybe three max, but it took 2 months for my car. He texts me today and says, or I texted him actually and asked him a question. And then since I had his attention, I was asked when my car would be ready. And he goes, "Oh, it's up next for detailing now." So I said, "Oh, okay. Well, will I be able to go get it this afternoon?" And he said, "As long as I'm there before 5:30, great, awesome, whatever." So I leave work 30 minutes early because Dallas traffic is horrible. And I wanted to make sure I got there before 5:30. I got there at 4:30 and there's blue tape across the business name. And I had noticed whenever I left my house and I started my directions, it said permanently closed on the business. But considering it took 2 months to fix my car, I was like, maybe he's just really busy. So he marked his business as closed.
I don't know. That sounds pretty sketchy
I
to me.
noticed the things that permanently closed before, but before I had actually left the town that I live in, I'm not going to triangulate my location. But before I left the town that I lived in, I texted him and I said, "Hey, my ETA is this. I'm about to leave now." He says, "Okay, sounds good." Then I get there. I notice the blue tape on the door. And I'm like, huh, weird. Sorry if y'all can hear Leia in the background, but I'm like, that's weird. So I go up to the door and I try to open it and it's locked. And I am peeved. It's an understatement. But
Did they move locations and not tell you?
I texted the guy because I've had so many issues trying to get our vehicles back through all of this. Like the first time they touched one of our vehicles was May. So they've had one of our cars the entire time since May. It's been a pain. But so I text the guy and I said, "I'm here, but your door is locked. There's tape over the business name." And he calls me after I'd called Cheston and I said, "Oh, I'm mad. I just want to drive this car off of the tallest bridge on the Dallas Mixmaster and then like parachute
Oh, that's
out."
I get it now.
Yes. So he calls me as I'm talking to Cheston. I'm mad and I answer and he goes, "You're at this other location, right?" And I'm like, "No, I'm at the location where I dropped off my vehicle." And he goes, "Oh, well, I thought you lived in this city, so I moved your car to our other location so it would be closer."
What?
The other location is I've already driven, and this kind of ties into my story, by the way. I've already driven an hour and 20 minutes to get to this place. Just for him to say, "I'm at this other location that is 50 minutes south of the location I was at." So I get there. I could have sworn I grabbed the check that the insurance wrote to cover the repair, but apparently I didn't. So I have to meet him tomorrow for that. But at this point, I have to pee so bad and I'm starving. I drive the 50 minutes back home from the second location, devour Popeyes, and now we're recording. But that's what that message was about earlier.
That
I
is.
was
That's
mad.
awful.
What kind of business does that? I was not having a great time. I have been driving since 3 p.m. I got home at 7.
1 out of 5 stars.
Honestly, part of me wants to be so petty and just like, I have screenshots of everything. The car he brought me had a flat tire, ended up needing a new tire. He paid for it, thankfully, which he was going to either way, to be honest. But he put up no fight or argument or anything for the whole tire thing. But it's just been a pain in the butt. And first world problem, this car did not have Apple CarPlay, and it peeved me off because I'm spoiled. But driving kind of ties into my story today, but I guess I should do the intro. So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's episode of Can You Repeat That podcast? We're your hosts. My name is Leslee.
My name's Chantelle.
And I am Atlas.
Okay, today's story is, in the words of Chantelle, a doozy. It is a story that drives me bonkers. And I forgot this person's name for a hot minute. And then I don't know if I heard it on another podcast, because I know it's one that's been covered on like Morbid and That's Why We Drink, and probably Sinisterhood as well. But today we're going to be talking about the missing person case of Bryce Laspisa. Have either of you heard of this person?
I don't think I have.
I don't know the details of the case, only that he's never been found. Or at least, last I knew, never been found.
Awesome. Okay, so y'all get to get angry with me because you don't know everything, at least. So I have a couple of photos to send. As I go through the story, I will send y'all screenshots of Google Maps just to help understand the whereabouts of Bryce the last day that he had been seen. So Bryce Laspisa was the only child born to Karen and Michael Laspisa on April 30th, 1994 in Springfield, Illinois. He was described as funny, intelligent, outgoing, and a talented artist, someone who would light up a room and had the ability to make friends wherever he was. Bryce graduated from Naperville Central High School outside of Chicago in 2012, and shortly after, his family relocated to Orange County, California. Bryce's parents, who had recently retired, would settle in Orange County, California, while Bryce would go live in Chico, California, about 450 miles away, to study graphic design and industrial design at Sierra College. I already said that the story has a lot of locations involved. This is the first one. So point A on this map is Orange County. I can't remember the name, the town where his parents lived. It's probably a very easy Google, but Orange County. And then point B is Chico, California. They're basically at least a half a state away from each other, if not more. Bryce's first year of college went smoothly, getting good grades and creating close bonds with his roommate, Sean Dixon, and his girlfriend and fellow student, Kim Sly. During the summer break, Bryce took a summer course at the local college near his parents' house to get ahead on his credits and would frequently speak about how he was excited to return to school for the fall semester. His friends and family would say the weeks prior to his disappearance, Bryce was happy, looking forward to the fall semester and his future in general. So during the summer break, he went back to Orange County, California, and stayed with his parents, in case that wasn't clear. The fall semester started August 26, 2013. Bryce had attended a couple of classes and called his parents the following night to tell them how much he enjoyed the classes he was taking. According to Karen, Bryce was excited, upbeat, and sounded like he had no problems or concerns on his mind. Sorry, Popeyes.
I was going to say that Popeyes hitting, huh?
Yeah. Bryce went back to Chico 2 weeks prior to school starting, and those who saw him daily noticed his behavior had started changing for the worse. Though Bryce was no stranger to alcohol or any other recreational drugs, he was not dependent on either and was not one to get in trouble. However, within those 2 weeks of going back to Chico, his friends and girlfriend would say he would start drinking hard liquor on a daily basis, which was out of the ordinary. His friends would express their concern for Bryce, but he would shrug them off and wouldn't admit that there was any kind of problem. Bryce's parents were made aware of the new habit and pressed him about it after he'd repeatedly denied there was any issue or problems going on. He admitted to them that not only was he drinking, but he was also partaking in amphetamines, specifically Vyvanse.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Vyvanse is a control level 2 substance and works similarly to Adderall. These medications are used to treat ADHD or ADD, and when not taken for those reasons, provides energy, for a lack of a better word.
And it also, if you don't have it, can lead to psychosis and mania and severe depression.
Yes. That'll come into play in a bit.
Oh, goody.
Sounds fun.
Oh yeah, so fun. And unfortunately, Vyvanse and Adderall, amphetamines, all those things are pretty popular around colleges, so it was pretty easy to access for them. Don't do drugs, kids. Bryce texted his roommate, which read, "I love you, bro. Seriously. You're the best person I've ever met. You saved my soul." The same day, Bryce gave Sean his Xbox and a pair of diamond earrings that belonged to his mother. Sean contacted Bryce's mother on August 28th to inform her of his concerns about Bryce's recent behavior, and she contacted Bryce shortly after. When Karen called Bryce, he informed her he was over at Kim's house arguing with her, as he had broken up with her the night before via text message. Kim told Karen about the concern she had about Bryce that evening and told Karen that she had taken Bryce's car keys away from him. Karen spoke with Bryce, asking if he was sober enough to drive, to which he said yes. Karen then asked Kim to give him back the car keys and told Bryce to go home to sleep and offered to fly out the following day to check on him, but Bryce talked her out of that. Bryce told his mother he would call her the next day and said, quote, "I have a lot to talk to you about," and the call ended. The next morning, Karen saw she had a missed call from Bryce at 1 a.m. and assumed the call was to tell her that he had made it home safely. Now, I am not a parent, but I feel like I personally would have returned that phone call when I had woken up, if not a couple hours later, or at least a text. If I woke up tomorrow and had a missed call from my brother at 1 a.m., or my dad, or my mom, or my grandparents, or my aunts, uncles, literally anyone that was not normal, I would call them as soon as I woke up, whether they were, whether I knew they were sober the night before or not. You could argue that because of the circumstances the night before, you could assume that the call was a check-in, but you'll see as I tell this story that I personally do not think his parents did enough whatsoever. But that's just my thought and many other people's thoughts, but we'll continue on for the moment. At 11 a.m. the next morning, Bryce's parents received a voicemail saying that a vehicle had used their roadside assistance at 9 a.m. To their surprise, they learned that Bryce did not go home the night prior, but instead started heading their direction, but ran out of gas near Buttonwillow Rest area. almost 350 miles from his apartment in Chico. Another photo incoming. At 9 a.m., he was at Point C, about 3 to 3.5 hours from Orange County. A is where his parents are. B is where he lives. C is where he is at least at 9 a.m.
Made it a fair distance.
Yeah. I mean, that's 350 miles is a lot. Shortly after the call was made to roadside assistance by Bryce, he was delivered 3 gallons of gasoline by a man named Christian who worked for Castro Tire and Gas. Not long after that, Bryce charged his parents' credit card $20 for gas. His parents tried calling him, but no answer, and since it had been a couple hours since Bryce had gotten gas, his parents assumed he was on his way to them and should arrive anytime within the next couple of hours. So 9 a.m. got gas, or roadside assistance, so maybe 9:30 a.m. he used their credit card at the latest, I would say, to get gas from a gas station. So now it's 11 a.m. He was about 3 hours from home. With their math, he should be home within an hour or two max. When the time for Bryce to be home came and passed, his parents called Castro Tire and Gas, and Christian went back to the rest stop to see if Bryce was still there. Christian is heaven sent, honestly. In my opinion, Christian, the roadside assistance guy who works for Castro Tire and Gas, did more than his own parents did. But again,
I was actually just thinking, who calls a company and then the person actually goes out and double checks? MVP.
He is the MVP, yes. To everyone's surprise, Bryce was still there and sitting in his vehicle. Christian called Karen back and informed him of the discovery that Bryce had not moved since he last saw him and put Bryce on the phone. Karen asked Bryce what he was doing, to which he replied nothing. Christian told Karen that aside from Bryce's eyes being a little red, he seemed okay. At this time, it's 12:30 p.m., and Bryce is expected to be home around 3 p.m. And this is where Bryce's parents and I differ, because I would have been in my car as soon as Christian had told me Bryce hadn't moved. But again, that's just me. If my family member, child was obviously in some type of stress and it's not moving, because now it's 12:30 p.m. He's been there since 9:30. I would just go get in my car. Worst case scenario, pass him on the highway, turn around. But with that being said, 3 p.m. came and went, despite many phone calls and 6 more hours of no communication. Let me repeat that so we have a very clear picture of what's going on. Bryce had sat at the rest stop since approximately 9:30 a.m. He spoke with his mom at 12:30 p.m. and was expected home around 3 p.m. and it's now 9 p.m. and Bryce still isn't home.
So he covered like 3/4 of the distance in a single night and has now not yet crossed that last little bit in almost a day.
Yep, pretty much half a day or so. So instead of driving to go get their son, this is what's so frustrating about this to me. If for some reason I didn't start driving at 9 a.m. to go to that rest stop gas station, wherever he was, by 3 p.m. at the latest, I would have been in my car, gone. It's mind-boggling to me why they're just sitting there waiting and why they let the 3 hours go, then 6 more, 9 hours. He's just been sitting there. At least. Well, 12 hours, because 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
I feel like even under normal circumstances, like if his behavior hadn't changed, when you had confirmation that he was still sitting there, you should have moved. But
agree.
Because there's behavioral changes and like they obviously knew there was an issue going on, they just weren't sure what. I mean, you kind of should have put a fire under their ass, in my opinion.
I agree.
Think, like, obviously something's wrong. He's been sitting within a few miles of the rest stop for hours upon hours upon hours. At the very least, a phone call and been like, hey, what's going on? But yeah, nothing at all.
What's even more just infuriating, his parents were retired. They did not have a job to go to. They didn't have appointments from what I saw. They're just sitting at home. I literally, ugh, okay. Instead of driving to get their son, they did call, I believe, the local to where he was at. That area's Button Willow's local, like county sheriff's office or police department, and explained the situation. So instead of driving to get their son, they called the police, which I mean, I guess at this point, at least they did that right. I still would have been in the car. Anyway, they tracked his phone and discovered that he had moved about 8 miles in a 9-hour period. I have in all caps with periods separating each word. Why are they not driving to him?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like, this is completely out of the ordinary. Why are you just sitting there?
Yes. So Bryce's parents called the local highway patrol, explained the situation, and asked if they would drive to check and see if they could locate their son. The officers found Bryce and searched his vehicle, which was now located on Lagoon Drive in Button Willow. Here's another photo. So this one is more zoomed in, but there's still point C, and point D is the new location that he's just been sitting at for 9 hours, approximately.
Yeah, just literally right down the road.
Yep. The officers searched Bryce's car for drugs and alcohol, and they conducted a sobriety test. But despite the strange behavior, Bryce displayed normal behavior, and there were no substances found in the vehicle. The police convinced Bryce to call his mother despite his hesitance. And when I say hesitance, I mean he would not dial her phone number. The police would have to take his phone and dial his mom's number and hand him the phone.
Okay, seriously, something's obviously bugging this kid.
Is that normal behavior? I'm confused.
Nope. Everything that I saw before this day is that he was very close with his parents. Like they would have phone calls and conversations regularly, and there weren't really any secrets. We'll get into theories later, but this whole thing is just maddening, infuriating, frustrating, and the worst part, I think, is that, what is it called? Oh, spoiler alert. There's no information on him to this day. An hour later, Karen called her son, to which he told her, quote, "I'm going to hang with friends later." What?
Okay.
Apparently, while he was driving, at some point, she was asking him to describe, like, okay, well, where are you at? And he would say, I'm not sure. She would ask, well, what are the signs that you're seeing? And he'd say, there aren't any. So he was just, from what it seems like to me, and he was just avoiding getting to his parents' house. At 11 p.m., Bryce stopped at another gas station in Button Willow, charging the credit card 2 separate times, one for a drink and one for gas. 11 p.m., Button Willow. At this point in time, Bryce had been in Button Willow for over 13 hours.
Either he really likes Button Willow or something is wrong.
Yes, I would agree. Instead of driving to get their son, they called Christian from the tire shop again and asked him to make sure that their son was alive and to go check on their son. And Christian offered to follow Bryce onto the highway to make sure he was headed in the right direction once he did find them. And GPS showed that Bryce would arrive at his parents' house at 3:30 a.m. Christian, real MVP.
Yeah, no kidding.
Do we know the connection to Christian? Like, who is this kid?
Christian's connection, Shanty, is that he was the owner of the tire and gas place that supplied him with gasoline when he ran out at 9 a.m. this same morning. Other than
But
that,
that's it?
other than that,
Correct.
he's just going, they talk about going above and beyond at your job, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
Oh, my brain. Okay.
all he did was respond to roadside assistance. He brought Bryce 3 gallons of gas. And then after the 3 hours of him not being home, so they thought he would be home around noon, they called Christian. They called the towing company, and Christian was like, oh, I'll go see if he's still where I left him. And he was. Then they called the police and they made him call his mom, or they called his mom and put him on the phone and told him get home. And now it is 13 hours in total of him being in Buttonwillow. And they asked Christian to go check on their son again because he only moved a total of 8 miles.
Go get your kid.
I honestly, yeah, I don't get it. At 1:50 a.m., Bryce called Karen to inform her that he had detoured off of the I-5 but was on track and headed home. When Karen asked where he was on the I-5, he wouldn't tell her where he was. He didn't know where he was, or wouldn't give any identifying markers as to where he was. At 2:08 a.m., Bryce contacted Karen again to tell her he was too tired to keep driving and he was going to pull over and sleep in his car in a suburban area. At that point, he'd been awake for close to 48 hours, but Bryce didn't pull over to sleep in a suburban area. Instead, CCTV saw Bryce 90 minutes south at Lake I don't know how to say this. I meant to Google how to pronounce this. Lake Castaic?
Yeah, Castaic.
Okay, cool. So CCTV saw Bryce 90 minutes south at Lake Castaic. I'm going to send another photo. Now he is at point E. So CD are in the top left-hand corner.
Oh my God.
So he's closer now, but again, has stopped. And that lake is not a suburban area. Interesting. What's more interesting is that CCTV saw Bryce's 2003 Toyota going up the road that goes around the lake at 2:15 a.m., 7 minutes after speaking with his mother. The same camera caught him driving up the road again at 4:29 a.m. 7 minutes prior, he told his mom, I'm pulling over to sleep in a suburban area. But then 7 minutes after that call shows up on CCTV at Castaic Lake. And then it catches him driving up the road, passing the same camera, going the opposite direction now at 4:29 a.m.
Okay, this is a person who has lost the plot, and I don't mean that in a rude way. I mean, this is someone not in their right mind.
Mm-hmm. Around 8 a.m., Karen and Michael are greeted by an officer at their front door telling them they located a wrecked and abandoned 2004 Toyota approximately 2 hours north of their home, 25 feet down at the bottom of an embankment of Castaic Lake Recreation Area. The car was on its side with all of Bryce's belongings still in the vehicle. Aside from damage from the fall, the back window was broken and a duffel bag was unzipped with nothing inside. The police suspect Bryce exited the vehicle via the back window and took something from the duffel bag, but left his wallet, his keys, his laptop, and anything else he could have had in that vehicle, except for what was in the duffel bag. While looking at the tracks leading to the drop-off, and I meant to get a picture of this as well. I couldn't really find one at the time I was doing research. But since it was dark, it was 4:29-ish a.m. or later, because the car going off the embankment was not captured on CCTV. I think the police estimated it was around 5 a.m. he most likely crashed. But there was the road he was on, and then I believe like a grass patch, and then there was a straight drop off of 25 feet. And because of that drop off, the lake looked a lot closer than what it actually was, but it was a pretty good distance off. So I don't think he expected the drop off. I think he was aiming for the water personally, and that's a lot of people's theory as well. But then surprise drop 25 feet down. While looking at the tracks leading to the drop off, they indicated the car had actually sped up prior to the crash, and there was no effort made to use the brakes. Detectives believe the crash wasn't an accident and that Bryce had thought the lake was closer than it was. Detectives believe Bryce's goal was to go in the water, but the drop made the water look closer than what it was. Search parties were formed immediately. During the search of the lake and surrounding areas, firefighters responded to a brush fire when they found a body. The body was too badly burnt to determine if they were a man or female, but was later identified as a 35-year-old who had been shot, dumped, and set on fire, not Bryce. Bryce's family hired a private investigator who believes that Bryce most likely didn't have any massive trauma that would have taken his life. Inside the vehicle, there was only one drop of blood also, so there wasn't anything gory in the vehicle. Now, that doesn't mean that he didn't suffer some type of internal bleeding or head injury, but we're not really sure. Bloodhounds were brought to the scene and picked up Bryce's scent to a truck stop located on Castaic Road where it stopped. The official search led by the LA County Sheriff's Office was called off 3 weeks after Bryce disappeared. Since then, the Laspisa family regularly walked the area their son was last seen on CCTV looking for any clues. In 2015, they hired a sonar boat to check the lake for 2 days and a drone operator. However, no new evidence has been found. Multiple psychics have reached out to the family as well, which have ranged from seeing him dead and describing the place he rests to him alive and well. Nothing has come from those claims. The Laspisa set up a Facebook page called Find Bryce Laspisa, where every year posts are made reminding the 48,000 followers that the search has not ended for Bryce. They also make posts on missing and homeless Facebook groups that say, quote, Bryce, we love you and we miss you very much. We continue to hope that one day we will be together again. To this day, Bryce is still a missing person and there have been no new leads. But here are the possible theories as to what happened to Bryce. The first theory is mental illness. Due to his use of substances and strange behavior, some believe he experienced a massive psychotic break. Like what Atlas said, if you're taking Vyvanse and you are not prescribed that medication, you're not using it to treat ADHD or ADD, it can lead to mental health issues. Due to telling his mother to not come see him multiple times, the hesitance to contact his parents, and going anywhere but home, some believe that Bryce chose to disappear or live off-grid. However, his parents think that this is out of the question, stating, quote, as his mom, he's my only child, and I know he wouldn't do this on purpose. His dad is on the same page too. The first week we thought maybe he thought that he did something wrong and was ashamed, but after a week, we thought there's no way he would put everybody through this, not just mom and dad, but also his family and friends. He loved life too much and he was looking forward to so many things. It just doesn't make sense, end quote. In 2013, the Laspisa family asked for information about a purple 18-wheeler that was known to stop at the truck stops in Castaic, and some believe that he got a ride from that driver and either chose to disappear or in extreme cases met foul play and was abducted by the trucker. However, nothing has come from this either. Another theory is that Bryce received a head injury from the crash and wandered off, not knowing who he is, and maybe living with a homeless community. There are many online forums that suspect more radical ideas, such as him being arrested for MDMA possession. His supposed best friend made posts online saying Bryce was known for bringing alcohol to high school and labeled Bryce as a druggie. Others have said they know Bryce's parents to be controlling. They picked his college and had access to his calls and text messages. Wanting to escape from his parents, he planned his disappearance, and the reason for lingering in Buttonwillow was to meet someone there who would pick him up and take him away. There's so many theories as to what happened to Bryce. I'm not exactly sure which I believe. Another theory that I saw is that he had started crushing on his roommate and was afraid to tell his parents about, I guess, his sexuality or something. I don't really know if I believe that one. It is interesting, though, that his mom said in that one post, the first week we thought maybe he thought he did something wrong and was ashamed. I don't know if that was it. We don't really have any answers. So Bryce is a white male with red-orange hair and blue eyes. He is 5'10" and approximately 160 pounds. He has a tattoo of a Taurus bullhead and his birthday in Roman numerals on his upper left arm. At the time of his disappearance, Bryce was wearing a blue and white checkered t-shirt, white cargo shorts, and size 12 red and white Nikes. The Laspisa family asks that anyone who thinks they have seen Bryce to take a photo and send it to findbrycelaspisa@gmail.com. There is a $5,000 reward for information that leads to Bryce's whereabouts. There's a tip line, 949-292-4400. And the LA County Sheriff can also be reached in regards to Bryce's case at 323-890-5500. And that is the missing persons case of Bryce Laspisa.
I don't have words.
I don't understand why they didn't drive to go get their son. It doesn't make sense to me.
Doesn't.
But like, where is Christian now?
Shanty with the real questions.
Christian, where are you?
I don't know. And apparently his girlfriend at the time, or I guess ex at the time, because they had broken up, still feels guilty, even though she's done nothing wrong. There's nothing that
I'm sure.
There's nothing that she could have done. He wanted his keys back. His mother said to give him the keys back. So that first photo I sent is Bryce and his parents. And the second photo is Bryce and his girlfriend. And then, of course, his tattoo.
Dang.
It is very strange. Something must have been weighing very heavy on his mind for him to say, I have a lot to talk to you about, to his parents, than drinking, drugs, and lingering in Buttonwillow. Something heavy enough to cause him to try to drive his car into a lake.
Or nothing at all, and he was just out of his mind.
Or, yeah, there's that too. I don't know which I prefer.
I wonder if something happened and it was like a trigger. Oh, no. But it sounds like he was definitely planned to.
I think I don't know what I think about this case.
I think with the medication that he was abusing, he was out of his head. He was acting irrational. He was not focused. I think what happened with the crash was an accident. I think he survived it. I think he wandered off. I mean, the fact that they were able to track him to a truck stop, I think somebody with nefarious purposes picked him up, because there would be no reason for them not to report it. I think that in his delirium, he unfortunately wandered across the wrong person's path.
Yeah, because, I mean, amphetamines can cause psychotic episodes and mental breaks and things of that sort, but they usually are gone once the medication is out of your system.
And they don't usually make you vanish into thin air at a truck stop.
That is also very true. Can you imagine?
Either that, or they just lost the trail there, and he just kept wandering. And yeah, I don't think he's alive one way or the other.
I don't know.
I don't buy that he was going to start a new life under a new assumed identity or whatever. And I don't think he's dead at the bottom of the lake, because they never found a body.
No. They did, like, they had the sonar boats out there, or at least a single sonar boat out there for 2 days, and found nothing.
And that theory about, someone else, some other police department arrested him. It doesn't make a lick of sense.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't.
Arrested him for 10 years and didn't bother to mention that, we've got this random John Doe. Yeah, no, that's stupid. And whoever came up with that theory should smack themselves.
Yeah, I don't know which theory I go for most. I'm not exactly sure. I feel
I kind of go for a mix of them from what I.
Yeah. So I think what I go with most is there was obviously something on his mind he needed to tell his parents that was weighing very heavily on him. But then also the combination of him giving his things away within like 48 hours, a week max, of him disappearing is like a red flag. I mean, this whole case is a red flag, including his parents, but that's a red flag. It's like he was planning to disappear almost, or leave at least. But maybe he made the decision, okay, I just got to tell my parents whatever it is. Started heading that way, I guess, got cold feet, would stop, started going again, would stop. One thing also that I forgot to say is that whenever the police came up to him at that first time in Buttonwillow at the rest stop, they asked him what he was doing, and he said just blowing off steam. So, I mean, it doesn't really change much, but he did say that too. I think maybe I lean more towards failed slew or slide, and obviously went to the truck stop. His scent was tracked there. So I think he did go to the truck stop and then maybe ran into the wrong person, or just said, okay, I'm done. I can't own up to whatever this may be, or Apparently his parents were very controlling. Maybe he didn't know of a way. Like, he's desperate. Whenever people are desperate, they do some wild things. I don't really know. I feel like I lean more towards failed slewer slide and then new life. But also, there's been no attempts to sign into any of his accounts, emails, social media. If he did disappear intentionally, he is very committed to it. I would be signing into my TikTok. I'm going to start that algorithm over again.
Depended on how badly I want to get away, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like leaving his wallet, laptop behind, like there was obviously a plan.
Yeah. And whatever was in that duffel bag.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I would suspect probably a change of clothes or something. That's my rational mind, I guess, like what I would grab if I had the option of all those things. Or maybe there are, I'm not there. I don't know at all. This is one of the few cases that bother the crap out of me. I don't understand why his parents didn't go. If his parents would have even left at 9 p.m. the next day, chances are their son would probably still be alive right now. You know, after that 13 hours of him still being there. If they would have drove the 3 hours. I drove 3 hours today on my fun journey, and that was for a car. So I don't know. I know that some people, or really maybe places even, just like 3 hours is an insane drive. But I mean, it's your kid. They were retired. They had, I can't remember what source I have that or where I heard this, possibly. It could have been a podcast. But they didn't have any plans. There was nothing preventing them from driving. They had vehicles. They were not expected at a job. Heck, if I had, actually, I'm going to rewind that. I was not in their position. So I can only guess at what I would do. But even if I was in their position and I had a 9 to 5, I would have called out. Bye, I gotta go get my kid.
Yeah, kind of there too.
I mean, obviously, all we can do is say, well, what if, or question what if. We don't know if anything.
Woulda, shoulda, woulda. Like,
coulda, shoulda, woulda. I got you.
So how long has he been missing for?
11 years.
The Find Bryce Laspisa group on Facebook posts every year on the anniversary. And when I was doing my research, I was like, oh, that's really close. If not like today. August 30th, 11 years ago, August 30th, 2013, Bryce went missing. So 11 years today.
Wow.
Yeah, timing.
As of the time of this recording. Found a skull too, but ruled it out.
Yeah. There are people that will post or send in tips or like take, this almost feels disrespectful or mean, but people will take pictures of homeless people that look similar to Bryce and email them. And so far there's been nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's like half disrespectful, half it's kind of like
it's good intentions,
right? I mean, yeah.
They have good intentions.
Well, damn.
Yep. I'm seeing Reddit is a wild place to be, but one person says, I think he could still be alive. Always thought it was weird his parents didn't drive to where he was and help or pick him up. Same. Ooh, I think I found the Reddit comment that was posted by Bryce's supposed best friend. Wow, okay. This person has some things to say. I'm going to send y'all this link. You'll have to go to the very, very, very bottom because the top is very political. That's the word I'm looking for. Political post. But all the way at the bottom, Karen, his mom, is a duplicitous. Thank you. Snake, and has pushed several falsehoods throughout this ordeal, most especially the Bryce was a good boy. This was totally unexpected narrative when it was clear he was starting to spiral out. They never once mentioned that he was basically driven from home due to his behavior. Mike isn't, how do you say that word again? Duplicitous?
Yep.
Thank you. So to speak, just thick as a brick, emotionally stunted, authoritarian, and a bit spineless when it came to being an advocate for his kids. Bryce's parents regularly looked through his phone records to see who he was associating with via calls and text. They also somehow have control of his Facebook and email accounts, though we all know how easy it is to set up alternates. No doubt he needed a burner phone to communicate with whoever came to retrieve him. So this person thinks that he met someone. They've been trying so hard to keep the heat up on him that it's no wonder we've not seen hide nor hair of him since his disappearance. I believe that when the Laspisas moved from Chicago to Southern California, they were mainly just looking for warmer weather and they were mainly just looking for warmer weather and a place to retire. No doubt Bryce had a lot of bad influences he left behind, but he was a social kid and well liked by most who knew him. So he didn't have trouble making friends at Sierra. I believe the person who was to meet him wasn't late per se, but was traveling a long distance, and due to changes in Bryce's plan, he had time to kill in Buttonwillow. I believe his plan was to drive to his parents' Laguna Nigel, drop off the car and everything his parents were paying for to have the talk with them, then meet with his friend to depart. I suspect they were driving from multiple states away. My guess is that he went to the Pacific Northwest, as he had possibly been spotted a few times in Oregon. The drive from Portland to Buttonwillow is about 13 hours and 15 to 16 if coming from Seattle. The majority of Oregon sightings place him somewhere around Eugene, which is a big college town.
I don't know. I think people see what they want to see. And I don't.
That just seems like an internet comment to me.
Yeah. All those,
especially because they're ragging so hard on the parents. If the parents had that tight of a lock on him, they would have had more information.
I don't know if I would think they have more information.
Totally. If they had their text messages, Facebook, everything, you would know what your kid is doing a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it is like that. I'm not fully believing what the person has said because it's Reddit and people like karma and clout. But it's not hard to set up alternates. You get a cheap burner phone or get an old Apple iPhone, set up a Yahoo account or an Apple ID, and you can text off of Wi-Fi. I don't know how many people have iPhones, but it's not an uncommon phone. And then you have things like WhatsApp, and this was 2013, so it's not like smartphones weren't a thing, or Apple. So I don't think it's too odd.
I mean, in his state of mind, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh, this is the person that the latter part of Bryce's teen years were marred by a few incidents, such as getting busted with MDMA, as well as a lot of underage drinking issues that have gone largely unreported, all of which served to soil his familial ties. As I understand, Bryce was on his way to becoming a teenage alcoholic. He was apparently known for taking booze to high school and spending some school days maintaining a desired level of intoxication. Let's see what else. When Bryce left home to attend community college, he did not do so by his own motivation. Karen and Mike shopped around for what school he would attend, gave him no decision in the matter, and shipped him out when the school year began. The decision was in part based on the availability of dormitories, as they wanted Bryce out of the home as soon as possible, which seems in keeping with what I know to be true of their parenting. They sent him to Sierra College in Rockland, CA, which is 460-mile drive from his parents' home. Mike and Karen were both very controlling, the type that foster harsh, rebellious behavior from their kids. They were sought to control every aspect of his life and use their money to do so. To me, his actions were a great big fuck you to his manipulative, controlling, abusive parents. What a better way to let them know you're done than intentionally wrecking their car and leaving behind all the accoutrements. Listen. Okay, thanks. All the things they paid for with their money and leveraged as a means of control. I believe the story. Again, I'm not taking what this person says as truth, but I do think it's interesting. And I love unsolved cases. I hate them. I feel bad for the families going through them. And it's not I'm glad this isn't solved, but more of I like a puzzle. And for some reason, it's like, I can figure it out. Of course I can't. But I do jive with voluntarily missing a little more than, well, I don't know. Because I'm slew or slide, voluntary missing, possible, ran into the wrong person. So I guess I don't know what I believe. I do think the parents are a little sussy for not going to check on their kid or get their kid.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
I also think it's sussy that he was giving away his stuff, less. I think it was the day before, or maybe a couple of days before, or it could have even been that same night. Because the friend called his mom and was like, "Hey, he's giving away his shit." Then she called him, and he was at the girlfriend's house arguing. So I don't know. It's a bunch of sus, a big bowl of sus, and we have no answers. Missing or unsolved mysteries are my favorite, but also can't stand them because my little puzzle brain is like, we can solve it. I will see the one thing that nobody else saw and we can solve this mystery, but that ain't happening.
I mean, not on this one for sure.
Oh no. This one is tough.
Total side note. Kind of, I guess. I may have gone through a rabbit hole while we were reading.
Oh, that's fair.
As I do, his, I guess, girlfriend. She had a boyfriend later who committed suicide.
Oh yeah, I didn't even touch on all that. I forgot. She has had the most tragic, I guess, relationships, disappearances, deaths from suicide. I don't know. Did you find any other info? I'm gonna Google it.
No, like everything, it's completely private. Like there's nothing you can really get into. I saw one commenter, it was from a comment from a year ago. I think they said they used to work with her and she was really sweet, never talked about like what she was going through or what she went through, kind of like kept to herself, but that she was like, she seemed genuine and nice and whatever. But God damn.
Oh, okay. 5 months ago, a Redditor posted on r/Crime Junkie podcast. Shout out Crime Junkie, even though they don't need a shout out from us. We could use a shout out from them though. So, anywho, Kim Sly dated Bryce. He went missing in 2013, one day after their breakup. She then dated a guy named Zach, who passed away by suspected suicide a few years after Bryce, and she does have photos, like old photos of them kissing, so it was a relationship at some point. A couple of years after that, Kim was expressing sorrow or grief for a man named Matt Wallace. There was a man named Matthew Wallace who was murdered in her area, but they can't confirm who she is talking about. Matthew Wallace and his mother were murdered by Matt's brother in their home for an inheritance money, so it's possible she knew the family or someone from the family. She did post justice for Matt Wallace before police arrested Matt's brother, so it's possible she was referring to that murder. And then they also say they wish Kim all the best and don't think she's suspicious or anything, just think it's interesting, so much tragedy following one person.
Yeah.
Someone comments, says, "This isn't sus to me. What's odd is Bryce's parents' behavior and the lack of reaction to help their son for so long." Same, random Redditor, same. You know what? I think I know what happened to Bryce Laspisa. And this is the only theory that makes sense for everything.
Hypothermia?
I was about to say that.
Hypothermia. Have a, another episode. Hypothermia, question mark? No, aliens. Hear me out. He saw aliens one night and it was weighing heavy on his mind, had an existential crisis. Gets rid of his things because material possessions don't matter anymore because aliens exist in his brain. So breaks up with everything, is going to find the aliens, but needs to tell his mom or his parents what's going on. So he drives, but he sees the aliens. Well, take it back. Let me go backwards. Okay. Needs to tell his parents what's going on. So that's the reason why he said, "I have a lot to talk to you about," to his mom. Okay. Following so far? Starts driving there, pulls over, runs out of gas, sits at the rest stop for a while because he's contemplating, are they going to believe me or am I going to sound loco for Cocoa Puffs? So he decides, I got to live my truth. And he starts going again. whenever he's like, okay, I'm gonna pull off to the side. I'm gonna go. I'm eepy. I'm an eepy boy. I've been up 48 hours. Starts to drive. Aliens pop out of the sky. Swerves off. Crashes his car. Grabs the stuff out of his duffel bag real quick because there was a camera in there that he could use to capture pictures of aliens. Starts running towards the gas station. Aliens beam him up. That's why his scent went cold.
Yes.
I think it's a pretty solid theory. Personally.
Yeah, Les, you just cracked an 11-year-old case. Aliens. The History
call that
Channel
one
would be
in.
proud.
Yeah.
Show did. But yeah. Big sad. I mean, if my theory is correct, he's literally living among the aliens. So
Probably living better than all of us right now.
what are we with the aliens?
Go join them up there, you know?
I'm okay. I don't want to live with aliens.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I might try it.
I'll stay down here with the Fresno Nightcrawlers.
Good luck with that. Nope.
They don't hurt anybody.
That we know of.
They're just a pair of pants walking around.
That we know of. Or maybe they're the hounds for the aliens and they seek out and like tag people for.
Ooh, they're scouts.
My God.
Oh my gosh. Wait, where was the Fresno Nightcrawlers? That was in California, wasn't it?
Oh, Lord.
Oh, loud.
Guys, I think we may have to redact some of this podcast episode.
Redacted. It was in California,
Fresno?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And he went missing. What was the name of that lake? I gotta look at my notes.
Oh, Lord. There have been sightings of them in Fresno, Bakersfield, San Jose, Castaic, and Ohio.
Oh my gosh.
Ohio. That's kind of, well, actually, I guess I'm not really surprised.
That's kind of out there, but so they've been in Castaic
and apparently sightings in Yosemite as well.
And he went missing.
It's 3 hours away. I think we're onto something.
He went missing at Castaic Lake, and they were in Castaic, California. Hello? Did we just solve this? Fresno Nightcrawlers are working for the aliens?
I'm Canadian. Nobody contact me about this. Man.
Wow. Go us. You know, I don't know if y'all could tell or not, but I was joking about the aliens. But now I'm not so sure. Fresno Nightcrawlers are working for the aliens, which abducted Bryce Laspisa. And now honestly, he's living his best Star Wars life right now.
Oh, good God.
Okay. That took a turn. I think our listeners just need to know that this is like normal conversation between us.
Terrifyingly, actually.
Like,
yeah,
this is not for the podcast. This is us.
This is how we be. We just record it now.
God.
That was it. Fresno Nightcrawlers are scouting for the aliens which abducted Bryce Laspisa. End of case. He's living his best life out there with the aliens. And yeah, but let us know.
Christian?
Where's Christian? Where is he?
Christian.
He deserves all the good things in the world, honestly.
Well, there's a Christian Castro who is a tire technician for Texas Tires.
Oh, Atlas, I have already looked this up, my friend.
Oh, did you have a similar panic where you were like, wait, what, died? And then noticed that the date was 1993 and it was a premature baby at 25 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely not our Christian.
Wrong Christian.
Yeah, and the company name change, and I don't know. There's a lot of...
Yeah, I'm seeing that. There's a little bit of a rabbit trail here.
Yeah, I kind of gave up.
If anyone knows where Christian from Castro Tire and what was it?
Tire and Gas.
Y'all know where he is. Or if you are Christian, just tell him we said hi.
You're the real MVP. I would like to know how you doing.
Honestly. And I hope Bryce's girlfriend knows that she didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing that she could have done differently that would have changed the outcome. Reasonable doubt there. I hope his parents know that I am seriously judging you for not going to drive to your child that was only 3 hours away from you and clearly struggling. And Fresno Nightcrawlers and aliens, please do not show up at my door or anywhere near me. Please and thank you. And Christian, I hope you are living your best life. Anything else we need to add, or is it outro time?
No, I think it's outro time.
I believe it is outro time.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. As always, you can find any pictures pertaining to this story posted on our socials, all of which are linked in our link tree. Be sure to rate and review us on your favorite listening platforms. If you have a topic suggestion or if you would like to share your own story, send us an email at cyrtpod@gmail.com. Until next time.
Or if you are Christian or no Christian and tell him we said hi, and if he says hi back, please let us know because we would like to know.
Just let us know, please.
But anyway, bye.
Goodbye.